There's a lot of hard work and passion that goes into making a movie. There's also a lot of issues that happen as well.
I want you off the fucking set, you prick!
Mainly from studio execs that think they know everything. Studio execs are known to ruin a bunch of movies and change a lot of things about them. This isn't surprising because a lot of the time studio execs only care about just making money. They don't care if the movie's good or bad, they just want to know if they can profit off of it. And usually when they don't believe that a movie is going to be good critically or financially, they tend to scrap the movie altogether. Which is exactly what happened to these 5 movies that never got released. The first movie I'm going to talk about is a movie called The Mothership. The Mothership was a movie about a single mother and her children that discover an extraterrestrial object underneath their home. This leads them on a mission to find their husband/father who mysteriously disappeared a year before. The movie starred Halle Berry and was going to be the directional debut of Matt Sharman, who co-wrote the film Bridge of Spies. The film began principal photography on June 14, 2021 and wrapped on August 9 of 2021. This movie had a ton of issues during the post-production process, and with both the writers and actors strike, it caused the movie to be delayed several times. The movie needed a ton of reshoots, but unfortunately, the filmmakers couldn't do it because the child actors that were cast in the movie had already grown so much since the film had wrapped, which led to continuity and story issues. These problems just kept escalating from there on out that there was really no salvaging it. Ultimately, Halle Berry and the executives felt like maybe it would be for the best if the film just didn't release. Up next is a movie called All-Star Weekend, which was written and directed by Jamie Foxx. The premise of this movie was that 2 truck drivers who are basketball fanatics that worship both LeBron James and Steph Curry win tickets to the NBA All-Star game, but on their way to the game, they find themselves in a precarious life-or-death situation. In 2016, several actors were confirmed to be in the movie alongside Jamie Foxx, like Eva Longoria, Gerard Butler, Robert Downey Jr., Benicio del Toro, Ken Jeong, and Jessica Shore. According to Jamie Foxx, this star-studded cast was going to portray a bunch of wacky, larger-than-life type characters that were also different ethnicities and nationalities, with some actors playing multiple characters. Like, one of the characters that Jamie Foxx was going to portray was a white racist cop. Gerard Butler was going to portray a Russian who loves gymnastics, but probably the most bizarre one is Robert Downey Jr. doing brownface by playing a Mexican man.
Is this nigga serious?
Which Jamie Foxx was able to convince him to do it because of his portrayal of Kirk Lazarus in Tropic Thunder. The film was originally going to release in 2019 but got delayed to 2021. But by that time, comedy itself wasn't doing great when it came to things like this. And Jamie Foxx himself had expressed that he wanted to break open the sensitive corners where people can go back to laughing again.
I got a movie that we just shot for little or nothing called All-Star Weekend, and the jokes are like all the way out there, you know, and it's I got everybody in it, you know. People have to understand where it comes from. There are real people out there that really mean you harm, like outside of us. I mean, there's some real people who really don't fucking like you. Whatever you are, whether you're black, you're white, you're straight, you're gay, whatever it is. There's some people who really don't like. We're the entertainment. We're easy targets. We're easy. It's easy for you to jump on Robert Downey Jr. or Jamie Foxx or Joe because it's easy.
People around that time were already criticizing Robert Downey Jr. for doing blackface, so for him to be doing brownface by playing a Mexican man in this film proved to be way too insensitive for Hollywood, which led this film to get shelved. And Jamie Foxx confirmed in August of 2022 that the film will not be released. Y'all remember the movie SCOOB that came out in 2020? Nope, just me? Okay. Well, apparently it was supposed to get a sequel called SCOOB Holiday Haunt. The movie was going to take place on Christmas when the gang were all kids and they tried to solve a 40-year-old mystery and show Scooby the true meaning of Christmas. So I watched the movie SCOOB when it came out, and I'll be honest, the opening scene with the gang as kids was honestly the best part of the movie, because after that, the entire movie just falls apart because not only is there barely any mystery, but the entire movie didn't even feel like how a Scooby-Doo movie would. It felt more like a special feature with the Blue Falcon in it and Simon Cowell. So the premise of the sequel with the younger versions of the gang sounded pretty promising already. In June 2021, development for the movie started and everything was going smoothly. All the original young actors of the gang had already recorded their parts, with the inclusion of new cast members such as Michael McKean, Mark Hamill, and Andre Braugher. Some snippets of the movie were getting shared on social media of the animation process. Everything seemed to be going well until some news leaked about Warner Brothers canceling the project, which shocked everyone who worked on the project, including director Michael Kurinsky.
We were in a meeting. On my phone, a Twitter alert came up and it said, Michael Krinsky, is this true? And I was in the middle of just some meeting, and happened to look down because my phone buzzed, and I was like, what true? I hit it, looked at it, and it sent me to that article that said it's being canceled. Meeting over, and we called Tony and Allison, who was the head of the studio at the time, and said, what the hell is this? And they were like, we don't know. We're looking into it right now.
And Allison was super upset.
Oh my
God. We all were.
We all were.
Yeah. I found out kind of like one of the execs said, Real Effects had texted me, don't worry, we're going to work through this, or something like that, to that effect. And then my son was in the other room, and he came out and he's like, Daddy, did you see this? And I kind of looked at the same probably article.
According to him, he had spoken with the people at Warner Brothers who explained to him that the project was getting canceled due to financial reasons, including a tax write-off. And because this film was being written as a tax write-off, Warner Brothers Discovery cannot monetize it in any way, which made the film unreleasable. Even though the film wasn't going to be released, director Michael Krinsky and his team decided to finish the movie. The reason they were able to do this was because the studio had already paid for it. And because it was already paid for, the studio wanted the movie to be completed even after it had already been shelved. What an awful feeling that must have been for the team to work so hard on this movie knowing it will never see the light of day. Damn. Honestly, I would have preferred this movie to be released instead of Velma, and a lot of people do too because there are petitions dedicated to releasing this movie. Sadly, because this was written off as a $40 million tax write-off, I doubt we'll be seeing this movie anytime soon. Speaking of tax write-offs and Warner Brothers Discovery, that leads me to the next movie, Coyote Vs Acme. For those of you who don't know, Coyote Vs Acme was a live-action animation movie, kind of like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and the premise was going to be a court drama of Wile E. Coyote against Acme Corporation. The movie was co-produced by James Gunn, who also has a story credit in the film. The cast included Will Forte, John Cena, Eric Bauza, Lana Condor, and PJ Byrne. The film started principal photography in March 2022 and wrapped in May of 2022. The movie was going to be like Who Framed Roger Rabbit in combining both 2D animation and live action. The movie was planned to be released on July 21st, 2023, also known as Barbenheimer Day. Of course, that didn't last long since the film was taken out of Warner Brothers Discovery release slot. The film was completed around 2022, but it was announced on November 8th, 2023 that the film will not be released. The reason why it got cancelled is not entirely clear, but what we do know is that it has to do with social media fuckface David Zaslav. When the film was greenlit, it was under a different CEO that was not David Zaslav, but when Warner Brothers became Warner Brothers Discovery and David Zaslav came on board, everything pretty much went to crap. Ultimately, the film was shelved because the studio wanted to get a tax write-off of $35 to $40 million, and when it was announced that the film was not going to be released, the internet went nuts.
Warner Brothers, what are you doing? Warner Brothers cannot stop giving L's.
You want to get rid of my Looney Tunes? Zaslav, I'm gonna give you a Looney Tune death.
Warner Bros. Discovery made the horrible decision to make this a tax write-off.
Filmmakers instructed reps to cancel meetings they had on the books with Warner's.
Probably because they're afraid what they're going to do to our films too.
Yeah,
it got pretty crazy, and honestly, rightfully so, because David Zaslav and the other studio execs, unsurprisingly, never even watched the movie. Even though test screenings and other audiences who watched the film say they loved it. But sadly, it wasn't enough to save this movie. Will Forte, who plays Wile E. Coyote's lawyer, expressed his disappointment on X about the film's cancellation. When I heard that our movie was getting deleted, I hadn't seen it yet, so I was thinking what everyone else must have been thinking. This thing must be a hunk of junk. But then I saw it and it's incredible. You would be so proud of it. Please know that all the years of hard work, dedication, and love that you put into this movie shows in every frame. If you want to read the full quote, I'll leave the link to the post in the description. The film's composer, Stephen Price, also expressed his disappointment on the cancellation of the film on X. The outrage of the cancellation got so bad that on November 13, 2023, just 5 days after the film's cancellation was announced, the studio gave the filmmakers the option to sell the film to other studios and streaming services to distribute the movie. And a lot of them were actually interested in distributing the movie, like Netflix, Apple, Amazon, Paramount, and Sony. Unfortunately, only Netflix and Paramount had actually bidded on the film, while the others were not planning on making any bids. Sadly, this didn't work out for them because Warner Brothers Discovery wanted $75 million to $80 million for the film. And they rejected offers from Netflix, Amazon, and Paramount. They also refused to let them counteroffer as well. Because of this, it's undetermined whether the film will ever be released, but I think it's safe to say that it's not going to be anytime soon. This whole thing is kind of ironic because David Zaslav said in an interview that he wanted the company to focus on kids media, but then he went ahead and canceled this movie.
Overall, I've been trying to crack kids. I want to crack them in half like an egg. And they're telling me we can do that with this new technology through Max. So if they watch a certain frequency, then the kids there are going to get cracked in half like Humpty Dumpty, alright?
And last but not least, to complete Warner Brothers' trilogy of canceled movies, is Batgirl. Obviously, I'm not the first person to talk about this movie getting canceled, so I won't get too much into it. When it comes to canceled movies, Batgirl is the one that's probably been the most divided and controversial, and the most unexpected. Because before Warner Brothers Discovery axed the film, tons of info about it was coming out that actually made it sound pretty promising. Like Brendan Fraser playing the villain Firefly, Michael Keaton returning as Batman, J.K. Simmons returning as Commissioner Gordon, and then having the directing duo of Bad Boys for Life come to direct the film. Everything seemed to be going well for them. There were even talks for a sequel and the studio to invest more money in the film for a theatrical release instead of just releasing it straight on demand. But when HBO Max and Discovery merged, they cancelled so many projects and Batgirl was one of them. This cancellation was so unexpected that even the directors had no idea that this happened until the news broke.
So we were at Adil's wedding. Congratulations, bro.
Thank you, thank you. It was beautiful. It was Morocco. Thank God that my beautiful superhero wife was there with me to support me through these times.
I was in Tetuan. I was visiting the grave of my grandfather and grandmother. And when I was leaving, I picked up my phone and I saw there was a lot of messages. I got a call and they said to me, Batgirl is done.
I was in Tangiers in a hotel honeymooning with my wife, and all of a sudden I got a phone call. Meanwhile, I was getting messages and they said they're gonna kill the movie. And when I heard that, I was shocked because I didn't even realize that was a possibility. It was as if we were doing movie history right there. And I called right away Martin Walsh, the editor, and said, yo, you gotta pack up that shit, back up, copy the movie.
And then Adil called me and I said, yo, shoot it on your phone. So I went on the server and everything was blocked.
Yeah, I apologize. That's not the right thing to do, but I was panicking,
Yeah, it's an emotional reaction.
It's not good. It's not good to do piracy. But, it was just, what do we do? What do you do? And to see that the movie was gone, that we didn't have any access to the footage or able to see it for ourselves again, that was pretty harsh.
It was painful. I was emotional. It was shocking. And certainly for our crew and cast, we were like a family. It was intense. We were passionate to make this movie.
Really, they gave the best of themselves. And the movie was not even done. I mean, there was still a long way to go. It was a lot of work to be done. Same thing that happened with Miss Marvel and Bad Boys for Life. We were just starting to really get somewhere with the post-production.
And there was no VFX. There were scenes that were missing reshoots. And
we got a lot of support from everybody in the world, which really meant a lot to us.
It's unclear what the exact reason was for the cancellation. A lot of people speculated that the movie was so bad that it didn't get released, but others have denied the claim, saying that it didn't do terribly in test screenings, and that it would have only been judged by its early version with unfinished VFX. So if all this was true, that Warner Brothers didn't cancel the movie because of quality, then what was it for? Well, the only real answer we have is money. And just like SCOOB Holiday Haunt, the studio will most likely use it for a tax write-off. Of course, this outraged a lot of people, with them tweeting out #ReleaseBatgirl movement. And then tons of content creators came out with their support for Batgirl.
You're telling me you spent $90 million on Batgirl, a movie that ain't never coming out, ain't never coming out.
I think them not releasing it is so stupid. The DC universe is the most wackadoodle-doo thing I've seen in a while, man. This is just bizarre.
Damn, one thing I'll say about Warner Brothers, unlike Disney Marvel, at least they're efficient with their stupidity. Now they're even cancelling finished movies before we can even see them. Honestly, give it a few more years and they're just gonna dump $100 million into a big pile and set it on fire.
Would it do good theatrically? Personally for me, what do I think? Yeah, I think if you were to put this theatrically, it would easily probably at least gross and make even and break even.
I have friends and coworkers and associates who've seen it. They all say really good things about it, but the thing about it was screened in a garden variety test screening. It was the director's cut, first cut. It wasn't finished. I mean, right. I don't know about you, but I don't eat half-baked cake. I don't want to see something that's not ready yet. And the sad thing is that I don't know if it was judged on the merit. It wasn't shown in the best light that it could have had been.
Even Congress got involved at some point, criticizing the company for canceling the movie. The saddest thing about this film getting deleted is the fact that it didn't even get a chance to prove itself. Cause let's be honest, nobody really cared about this movie when it was announced or during production. And the ones that did thought this movie was going to flop because of the recent female lead superhero movies not doing great commercially. And then the CW's attempt at making a Batwoman series didn't do so well, so it didn't exactly have many expectations. So it's understandable why Batgirl wasn't expected to do well, but I still think it should have been released. Because this film wasn't just like a 1-week production cancellation, this film was nearly done. The only thing that was unfinished was the VFX. And I think that's what a lot of people were mad about the most when this happened. Sadly, I don't think Batgirl is ever going to see the light of day, especially since the DC universe is starting over. So all we have to remember Batgirl is just some behind the scenes footage of what could have been. Please consider subscribing, and thanks for watching.